Smooth rock refers to our base coat plaster and trowel applied top coat. Our base coats can be tinted to any color. Our top coats are also available in any color, as well as pearlescent or metallic. In this sample, we are using a blue colored base coat. Begin by dispensing base coat evenly across the edge of your plaster trowel and apply the base coat to the wall surface in a curved pattern, avoiding repetitive linear strokes. Linear strokes become visible during the top coating and are not desirable in this application. We recommend a random skip trowel technique. Always use the tools and trowels you feel comfortable working with. For this sample, the applicator has chosen a taping knife or broad knife. When working with this type of trowel, remember to always use only one side of the trowel, as it will become honed on that edge, making for a smoother application. Once the first base coat has dried, you may begin the second base coat application using the skip trowel technique. This time the applicator is applying less material over the first coat application with light wavy strokes. This leaves more base coat on the surface than you will ultimately need for the desired texture. Make sure the pattern is random yet consistent. Roughly 50% of the surface will be skip troweled. Any less and the finish will look patchy. When a few square feet have been covered, simply go back across the area and push the edge of the trowel through the base coat. This will cause any excess base coat to be directed off the surface. This excess base coat can be put back into the can and reused. This removal technique will ensure a uniform and even surface. When removing base coat, never place the trowel edge directly onto the surface, as this will leave linear lines, but rather place the trowel on the surface with a backstroke motion and moving the trowel forward. While in motion, lift the trowel off the surface rather than just stopping on the surface, as this will create lines in the texture. A good visual reference is to imagine your trowel is a plane lifting off the runway. This is the correct removal motion. Allow the base coat to fully dry before the next step. The base coat can be lightly sanded before the top coat application. We have selected a silver metallic top coat as our first overlay. Begin by edge loading your trowel with top coat. Apply in excess the top coat to the surface area, then remove with a skimming motion the excess top coat. Repeat this process across the entire surface area. Do not be concerned about lap lines at this point. When perfecting the top coat application, the method will eventually involve applying top coat in big sweeping strokes. Be sure to check your blade edge for dry top coat to avoid dry bits streaking the surface. Once the entire surface has been top coated, you may begin the final top coat application. We have chosen a light blue top coat for the final pass. It may appear at first that the blue top coat obliterates the silver top coat, but it really mutes the silver sporadically and allows the silver to read through the blue. This is possible because there is a certain level of translucency to our top coats. As you can see after the final top coat, that each application, that is the blue base coat, the silver top coat, and the blue top coat, all play a visual role in the final effect. This system can be repeated in virtually any color combination. Smooth rock is a water-resistant finish that can easily be cleaned or repaired. Durock Course is a two-coat application system with extremely high durability. This coating is an acrylic and silica composite, which feels slightly coarse. The mica particles reflect light and give it a glittering effect. Durock is available in any color and in a variety of metallics. The first coat is applied by trowel across the entire surface area. The thickness is determined by the size of the granules in the product. Be sure to keep the product level and uniform and try to avoid leaving uncoated areas. Try not to leave trowel marks or raised areas on the surface. When the first coat has fully dried, check for any raised granules or nibs which were left behind by the trowel and scrape these off before beginning your second coat. Apply the second coat in the same manner as the first coat, making sure again to fully cover the surface in a uniform manner. When learning to apply Durock, you may want to work on opposing surfaces until you master returning wet inside corners. The first coat is applied by trowel across the entire surface area to a thickness determined by the aggregate in the product. Be sure to apply Versi-Plast in a uniform fashion, ensuring that no voids or uncoated areas are left behind. A light trowel approach is best to allow for full surface coverage. When this coat has dried, a second coat of Versi-Plast is applied in order to create the relief that will become the focal point. The technique of applying a broken pattern is referred to as skip trowel. Learning to skip trowel will take some practice, but it is a technique you will use with all of our products and applications. To begin, cover approximately 6 to 10 square feet of skip trowel pattern. Then press the face of the trowel onto the wet Versi-Plast and pull the trowel towards you. This will create tiny fossil-like fissures. The trick to getting the best surface appearance is to lightly spray the second coat with water after the fissures have been raised, then very lightly trowel over the Versi-Plast. Use an X pattern in troweling to avoid obvious directional strokes. Keep applying the second coat in this fashion until the whole surface has been completed. The Versi-Plast must now be allowed to fully dry. At this point, if a stencil relief application is desired, this should be done prior to the final glaze application. Allow the stencil relief application to completely dry before commencing with the glaze application. When the surface is dry, give a light sanding to remove any unwanted lines and surface nibs. Glaze is a type of paint that is translucent and remains wet for up to an hour or more. This allows you to work with the glaze by working it into the texture and creating different degrees and shading of color. It is the opacity and translucency of the glaze that renders the displacement of color seen in any true authentic distressed plaster. The glaze can be applied with a brush or roller and should be dispersed across the VersiPlas in a random broken stroke, making sure to miss some areas. The missed areas will be done with the second glaze application. Work the glaze into some of the recessed areas and any stencil relief pattern. Once you have covered an area with the first color, you can begin with the second color glaze. The second color glaze application should be worked into the previously unglazed areas and stencil relief patterns, but still allowing some of the original VersiPlas color to remain exposed. Although glaze can remain workable for up to an hour, it is recommended that you commence an area that you can comfortably work within. That may be 8 square feet to 80 square feet, depending on your speed and room temperature. VersiPlast and glaze are distressed plaster, as it is often referred to, is a 4-coat application which gives you an aged relief plaster effect. This coating is an acrylic and glazed sphere composite and will not crack or shrink. Also unique is that VersiPlast does not require a primer or sealer and is therefore ready to glaze when dry. VersiPlast is a white plaster product which can be tinted to any color. It can be used to render a vast variety of textures and can be painted, glazed, carved, or treated with metal reactive paints for an amazing effect. After the second glaze application, take a dry, flat, dense sponge and lightly wipe and dab the glaze to blend and move the colors. This will unify your surface color. How much blending and removal of glaze depends on the amount of pressure applied. When the final application has fully dried, you may lightly run a sanding sponge across any stenciled relief areas to perfect the distressed appearance. Begin by distributing very small, tight quantities of plaster onto your working surface with a consistent stroke regardless of direction. You should be pulling your trowel very tightly over the surface, as lime plaster has the ability to build a pattern from every stroke. The trowel being used is a stainless steel stucco trowel that gives the applicator a firm, controlled stroke. Allow each coat to dry before applying any additional coats of VersiLime. The surface being treated must be primed with our VersiLime Quartz Primer prior to commencing with the VersiLime application. This primer gives an immediate bond to the surface and an excellent bonding surface for the VersiLime application. VersiLime is an aged lime plaster made in Venice, Italy under our strict guidelines. We import the finest ingredients to Durock and improve the elasticity and performance in our facility, which is why we feel confident to say you may search the world over and never surpass our formula. Lime Venetian plaster is like a fine wine. If it is from a good source, aged to perfection, and the proper components added, you end up with a plaster that performs beautifully. When the first coat is completely dry, apply the second coat in the same manner as the first application. For a truly multi-dimensional effect, you may want to apply a third coat. On the last application of VersiLime, you must begin to polish the plaster while it is still setting. On the last application of Versi-Lime, you must begin to polish the plaster while it is still setting. If you wait for it to fully dry, you will lose the window for polishing. Polishing during the final application is a skill, and you should practice on a sample before attempting a wall surface. Traditionally, lime Venetian plasters are sealed with different waxes and then polished to a high gloss. Here we are using our Duragloss as a sealer. Duragloss is an acrylic wax that does not remove with detergent applications, and unlike wax, can be painted if necessary. The best method for polishing Duragloss is with a commercial polisher and a D500 polishing pad. If a lower sheen is desired, simply polish with the edge of the trowel. Venetian plaster can be left unsealed, but remains an absorbent coating, and there is risk of permanent staining if not sealed. Begin by priming the surface with our Versi-Lime Quartz Primer. Sand the primer when it has fully dried. This will reduce the amount of plaster necessary to cover the orange peel effect created by the primer. Now apply a loose coat of greenstone to the entire surface. A pull trowel as shown here is a good tool to apply a quick loose-handed layer. Try not to work straight up and down or straight left to right. To increase the speed of the first coat, simply roll the first layer onto the wall and smooth with the trowel. Allow this layer to fully dry, then switch to a smaller, stiff broad knife. Work across the surface, making tight patch marks, overlapping as you go. Allow the second layer to dry and then repeat the patching process, polishing as you go. Greenstone is a lime acrylic hybrid plaster with a suspended fine black sphere that shows up in the final texturing. The acrylic content allows for this plaster to have more flexibility than a pure lime product. The polishing is only to cause the plaster to add dimension through a tonal change, which only happens when the plaster is rubbed. This plaster has an earthy appearance and a matte finish. If you desire a high sheen, then coat the surface with Duragloss for protection and sheen. Greenstone is available in any color and may be applied in a single color or combination of colors. Glitter Rock Smooth is an acrylic plaster with microspheres suspended in the matrix. This product trowels very easily and can be tinted to any color, metallic, or pearlescent. Begin by troweling the first coat smoothly and lightly across the whole surface. Allow this coat to fully dry. Trowel the second coat in a multiple patch pattern overlapping areas. Continue to apply in patches until the whole surface has been coated. This is only one of several methods of installing this product. Another way is to use large wavy strokes with some skip trowel texture and then apply and blend other Glitter Rock Smooth colors into it. Here we apply a second patch coat for greater overall dimension. This coating is luxurious and durable. VersaLime Marmorino is an aged lime plaster made in Venice, Italy, under our strict guidelines. We bring the finest ingredients to Durock and improve the elasticity and performance at our facility. This plaster has ground marble mixed throughout the product. Marmorino is one of the easiest coatings to install and has one of the most appealing textures. Start by priming the area with VersaLime Quartz Primer. This will give the Marmorino a strong bond. When the primer has fully dried, coat the whole surface with a layer of Marmorino, letting the marble in the product guide the thickness of the application. This first coat will be visible after the final coat has been applied. You may wish to try unique undercoating movements to find the most appealing look for you. When the first coat has fully dried, you may begin the final coat of Marmorino. Apply the final coat with medium pressure on the trowel. You will notice that the second coat bites into the first coat, leaving a fairly smooth overall finish. Polish Marmorino with the edge of the trowel to reveal all the movement and texture created in both layers. Polishing Marmorino is easier than polishing smooth lime plasters because the added thickness caused by the marble chips gives this product a longer drying time. When the polishing has been completed, you may seal the surface with Duragloss and either trowel or machine polish to achieve the desired sheen. Traditionally, lime Venetian plasters are sealed with different waxes and then polished to a high gloss. Here we are using our Duragloss as a sealer. Duragloss is an acrylic wax that does not remove with detergent applications, and unlike wax, can be painted if necessary. The best method for polishing Duragloss is with a commercial polisher and a D500 polishing pad. If a lower sheen is desired, simply polish with the edge of the trowel. Venetian plaster can be left unsealed, but remains an absorbent coating, and there is risk of permanent staining if not sealed. Our Venetian plaster is an acrylic blend and is available in any color. This plaster is thick and contains special additives to ensure a high polish sheen. The application begins with a skim coat using a trowel, broad knife, or spatula. Ensure that the painted or primed walls are sanded smooth. This will cut down on the number of coats required to produce a smooth finish. When the skim coat has fully dried, you may begin a pattern coat. Here we have selected to demonstrate a cross-hatch pattern. Begin by applying Venetian plaster to the surface and then immediately following through with a tight stroke, effectively removing and spreading the excess material. This cross-hatch process continues across the entire surface until all areas have been covered. A third and final coat should be applied. Our acrylic Venetian plaster can be installed in a variety of different techniques, and a feature unique to our product is that it can be machine polished using fine sandpaper 320 or higher. This will produce a very smooth finish with a high sheen level while cutting out the task of trowel polishing. Another application that is unique to our Venetian plaster is that our Duragloss can be mixed with the Venetian plaster in any ratio to create dramatic, multicolored, semi-translucent effects. As you are applying the third coat, be sure to polish as you go to maintain an even sheen level. For a second polishing, hard pressure with a stiff blade is recommended to produce the best results. When the Venetian has fully dried, you may seal the surface with Duragloss if desired. This application begins by applying a skim coat layer of Venetian plaster to the entire surface. You may wish to sand any primer or paint surface prior to commencing. When the skim coat has fully dried, you may begin a pattern coat. Here we have selected to do a directional skip trowel, which is applied in a generous thickness, allowing for pattern control. Then, when a desired pattern is achieved, the excess material is removed using the push trowel stroke method seen in the smooth rock finish. When the plaster has dried, take the first color of TO stone and apply fully or in a broken way as shown in this finish. While the first coat is still setting, take a second color of TO stone and fill in the missed areas or fully cover the surface depending on the desired color intensity. TO stone is an acrylic plaster with a small black sphere that can be tinted to any color and troweled over our Venetian plaster in as many tones as is required to create the desired effect. When the TO stone has dried, hone the plaster with a trowel edge to create tonal drama from Venetian plaster underneath. Our aggregate is an acrylic plaster with a medium-sized silica particle throughout. This product is for both interior and exterior. Here we have tinted 3 colors of aggregate, and we begin with full coverage of the darkest color on the entire surface. Keep a light stroke during this coat in order to dispense an even layer with little or no scratching. When the first coat has fully dried, we recoat the entire area with the same color, but only partially. Only cover an area you can finish completely before moving on. We recommend no more than 4 to 8 square feet to start. While this partial layer is wet, trowel a second color of aggregate onto the surface into some blank areas and some coated areas, always being careful not to overdo it. Finally, trowel a third color onto the surface. Try to pick places that will give a good broken color effect. Now, using the flat face of the trowel, push in and out of the wet plaster. This will cause the plaster to lift away from the surface. Wait about 1 to 2 minutes, then lightly mist the surface with water, and very lightly with the edge of the trowel, knock all the high spots down. If you pull the trowel hard, more blending of the colors will occur. If you pull softly, only the high spots will level out and create a beautiful natural looking texture. This finish is nicknamed Mediterranean stucco for its ability to render natural looking walls from the warm European countries. Durock is a Canadian business that takes pride in providing its customers with high-quality interior and exterior finishing systems. The company's broad range of products and systems are subjected to extensive research and rigorous testing to withstand the most extreme environmental conditions.